It's the last Sunday of the month of October in the year 2025. Good afternoon. Welcome to Weekend Central. This bulletin, of course, is coming to you live from the news up here at Adesawe Kanda. We are live on Facebook, STV3 Ghana, and on DSTV as channel 279. My name is Josh Quinning. Top of the stories is out. In the wake of growing debate over female hairstyles in senior high schools, Education Minister Haruna Idrisu calls for strict enforcement of school rules. We'll visit Abuentem in the Ashanti region, where locals are transforming discarded plastic bottles into durable, eco-friendly homes, turning waste management into a sustainable housing solution. Also coming up this afternoon, health experts express concerns over late breast cancer detection and reporting, urging women to seek timely medical attention. Well, we have details of these stories and many more coming up in the next 60 minutes if you spend your time with me. You can also get interactive with us. We are live on Facebook, STV3 Ghana. On to our very first story. Should a girl's hair determine whether she is admitted to a school? In Ghana's public senior high schools, the answer has long been yes. Girls must cut their hair. But the argument over whether that policy should continue is growing louder. My colleague Christian Trevor has more.
A circulating video of a first-year student crying as her hair is shaved before reporting to school has reopened a long-running debate. In public senior high schools in Ghana, girls must cut their hair before admission. The rule has been enforced for decades. For years, this explanation went unchallenged. School authorities say short hair supports uniformity, maintains discipline, and keeps attention on academics.
For every institution or organization where humans operate and work with, you would find some orderliness, some rules and regulations that govern how behaviors, attitudes, and people's conduct should generally be. Of course, they come from various backgrounds, they come from various homes, they come from different religious organizations. But when you get to the school gate, you drop all those social classes and enter as one individual. And that's what Ghana Education Service will work with to ensure uniformity in the student body. And so it is not only the hair. I'm trying to bring in all the other things so that we get to realize that it is not only the hair that is regulated. The uniform they wear, the time they sleep, the time they wake up, the time they eat, the time they attend classes, all of these things are regulated because we appreciate that this is a human institution. If you don't regulate them, if you don't guide them, if you don't help them, you may find some of them acting in a manner that may distract completely the academic reason for which they are in school.
But critics say there is no evidence that hair affects academic performance. They describe the policy as outdated and psychologically harmful to some girls who see hair as part of their identity.
Actually, for me, it's not necessary. They can do the hair because I don't see anything by breaking hair.
On the streets, opinions are sharply divided.
It depends on the rules of the school. So if you are going to school and you want to keep your own hair, maybe you should look for a school that accepts that. So if not, then you have to go by the rules of the school.
They should cut their hair because at that period they need concentration. Okay, so when they are they put on they braid their hair, it looks as if they are young. So they started doing things in a diverse way, in a different way. But if they are able to cut their hair, or if they cut their hair, they are able to concentrate on their books.
It should be well kept. It shouldn't be because it shouldn't be tight fitting. It would look like riffraffs or anything.
Before students take their first lesson, this rule is already in effect. Supporters say it builds structure. Opponents say it forces compliance. Online, Many now question whether a rule created in a different era still fits the present. Headmasters say they are not the origin of the rule. They only implement what comes from above.
There is a policy, and the powers that be saw it that as part of looking decent, your hair must be very, very kempt. And so we go according to the policy. It is not just girls. They said students, learners should look decent. And so, and what we are also looking at is, should we allow them in the school? Do we have the people to help them breed and do all those things? Because teachers are not trained to braid hair. We are following a policy. And if that is what they say we should do, we'll go according to that policy. I don't have what it takes to change a policy. I am an implementer. I am not a proposer of any policy. So whatever comes my way is what I will implement.
The Education Service has not announced any review. Until one arrives, new batches of girls will continue to enter high school with low haircuts for the foreseeable future. Christabel Success-Trevor, TV3 News, Accra.
In a related development, Minister for Education Haruna Idrisu has issued a stern warning against inappropriate hairstyles and dressing among students in the various second cycle institutions in the country. At the 75th anniversary celebration of Molly Senior High School in Ho on Saturday, the minister urged the Ghana Education Service and other heads to take full control of how students behave on campus. Take a listen.
An ongoing debate in social media about haircuts and size and length of hair in secondary schools. We will not tolerate it today, we will not tolerate it tomorrow, and so long as we are molding character. If we give in to head today, tomorrow it will be shoes, and the next day it will be the way they dress. Therefore, as part of our disciplinary measures, headmasters and GES, you are accordingly empowered to take full control of how students behave on your campuses. So anybody who thinks that your child will walk into any institution of learning as if that child, forgive my words, was to attend a beauty contest, the school environment is not for that purpose and not cut for that purpose, and we will not tolerate that as an institution. There is a lot of growing indiscipline in our schools, some even with teachers abusing learners. We would not accept that. We would apply heavy sanctions to any teacher who wants to take advantage of a learner. And to the students, you only can walk away from Maule School with two values: discipline and integrity, and the future is yours. So Maule School, you have every reason today at 75 to celebrate.
Well, let's still on this very development and engage the General Secretary of the National Council of Parent-Teacher Association, NCPTA's, Raphael Kofi Gabson. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Raphael, I know you support this very move, but how would you respond to people who say your hairstyle should have nothing to do with discipline and academics in school?
First of all, let me appreciate the important dynamics that we find ourselves.
And we'll come back to you shortly. And if you're just tuning in, you're watching Weekend Central here on TV3, and we are active on Facebook as TV3 Ghana. Engage us with your comment on this very issue, whether we should allow hairstyles, grown hairstyles in second cycle institutions. And now, to enhance academic activities, school authorities at Prempeh College are calling for improved infrastructure, and the school is currently struggling with staff accommodations, a situation authorities say affects the management of students.
A struggle behind the classrooms is threatening the quality of education here at Prempeh College. A severe lack of staff accommodation has forced most teachers to live off campus, leaving a critical void in student supervision and support after school hours.
We have about over 400 staff membership, and a handful are on the campus because of infrastructure. So we are pleased that all of them will be on campus, maintain discipline and maintain all that we do here.
The issue was brought into focus during the commissioning of teachers' bungalows donated by 1997 year group. Cutting the ribbon to the new bungalows, the group hopes their project will inspire others.
We building master's accommodation doesn't mean that all year groups also build master's accommodation. I mean, each and every year group has its own ambition and project, what they are planning to give to Prempeh College. So, but what we really want is to other groups to emulate. It doesn't mean they should build the same project, but also try to come together and build something as their legacy.
But while these new keys will provide a home for a few, the school's administration confirms dozens more are still on a waiting list.
Well, let's just still on education, but to our earlier story now. We're engaging the General Secretary of the National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations, NCPTAs, that's Raphael Kofi Gapson. Raph, I know you're in support of this very move, but how would you respond to people who say your hairstyle should have nothing to do with discipline and academics in school?
I appreciate their concerns, and that we are in a growing democracy, so everybody has his views. But the truth of the matter is that if you look at schools that have actually been able to become a trailblazer, and they've been able to set standards and be able to groom model global citizens across the globe, and they are icons that we are all looking up to, you can see that the school's ability to be able to maintain the status quo has to do with all aspects of its discipline being enforced to the latter. And when we talk about discipline in schools, we are not only looking at only the dress code, we are not looking at the fingernails, we are not looking at the type of shoe they wear and the type of dress codes they wear. We are also looking beyond that, the type of mindset and the training and career development that we try to put into this our young students as they go up. And you see, the challenge that we face with this kind of these issues today is because we are not enforcing them at the basic school levels. Because they say charity begins at home. And I believe that if the foundation is destroyed, the Bible says, what can the righteous do? So the student that we saw that at the secondary school level, he's going for admission, and then one of the first options is that, look, we have to trim your hair. If this thing was actually psychologically inculcated in him, not only in a public school, but also in a private school, these things will not even become an issue that we are discussing today. You get the point. So we have to fix it at the right place. The minister is speaking not just for secondary school, even though that platform at the Maoli, let me commend Maoli for the 75th anniversary. I think it was such a very beautiful and novel thing. And you could see that when the minister made the statement, you could see the resonation at the base. Everybody had agreed with the minister that these are things that we need to go back and revisit.
The world is evolving.
Yes.
Don't you think the time is now for the ministry and GS to actually revise the codes of conduct to reflect modern trends without, what's the name?
Every aspect of it that can change. I'm saying for this one, we as parents, we are together with the ministry. We are saying that, look, they should even tighten it more. They should go back to the basic schools and tighten it more. If there are things that will be changing, we'll look at it. There are other areas about the code of, if you call us for us to discuss that thing, we can pick it page by page and look at the gray areas, and we will tell us these areas are not. Look, these things that the minister has said, that they say they should enforce. You know, the schools don't have barbering grounds.
Exactly.
And for that matter, you might, if you are not careful, you might get a teacher who will just probably have a personal issue with somebody. And just, you know, those days when we are in school, they'll just come and put it there, scissors there, and so that it creates problems. But if we are able to agree, both the school management, the PTAs, and other stakeholders agree, look, in this school, let's have a barbering shop. Let's have a decent price fixed at the end of every month. Every student should be able to. I think when we do these things, and it's part of the school culture, it will make these things become a decent. Unless you have a student who is in the proverbial Bible like Samson and Delilah. Samson's strength is in his hair. So if that child, his strength is in his hair, that one is an exception.
But look at it, let's just put this with the Achimota Rastafarian issue. Don't you think there's a time coming where maybe a resilient parent would want to test the law and make sure maybe at the end of the day, he or she can win?
My point is that is why I use the Samson and the Delilah incident. In such cases, there are exceptions to it. But I'm saying that the general rule is that is the way we should go. That one, we can't do anything about it. Assuming you are in this studio and then, at least it's part of your studio policy that your dress code, your haircut, the way you shave your hair and everything. So why are you saying that we should not do it at that base? So look, this thing, there's no debate about it. But some people are always.
It should be debatable.
There's no debate about it.
You saw the little girl. She was crying.
She was crying because they didn't enforce it from the base.
But
if she had gotten it from the onset,
she's half caste.
I'm saying that if she had gotten it from the onset, that this is our culture, this is our country. Look, you can't import a foreign law into our country. It doesn't work. We have our laws, and when you want to live in the space called Ghana, that jurisdiction, you have to go by our laws.
I'm sure we'll still stay long on this but because of our limited time, we have to end it here. Rafael Kofi Gapson is the General Secretary of the National Council for PTAs, and that was his take on this very issue. And we are active on Facebook, like I mentioned. Just engage us. Hopefully, you read your comments and share them to the rest of the world. And now, futuristic homes built with disposed plastic bottles. This is how some locals of Abuentem are turning an environmental adversity into an opportunity. A move aimed at revolutionizing the country's housing sector. William Evans Inkum has more in the following report.
In the Subin Canal, tons of plastic bottles. At Abuentem, it is trash for cash. Futuristic homes with pure traditional touch. This house is being constructed with disposed plastic bottles. Tons packed, ready to be used. The chief of Abuentem, Nanam Ponsasechi, has introduced a number of people to this craft. 55-year-old Benedicta Ponsa accepted the challenge.
Nana Abuentem hina kofa the classmate
It was the chief who introduced me to this craft. I can build now. Already, some people have requested we build a similar house for them. I am happy because I see this as a livelihood with huge prospects.
Today, she's among the few people determined to revolutionize the country's housing sector.
Here at Abuentem, the chief is using this model to change the livelihoods of the people. It is not only a paradigm shift when it comes to construction, but also encouraging women to take up a new opportunity, an opportunity which will define their very life in the future.
A blend of tradition and modern method of construction. This bus stop at Abuentem was constructed with plastic bottles, and it is now being used. Nanam Ponsasechi says it is his vision to create job opportunities for the youth through this innovation. When I took over the stool, I realized the huge unemployment rate. Most of the youth were only interested in the sale of plots, so I introduced them to the plastic waste project. We have a plan of building more of these model houses for tourism, an affordable housing project. We are already working with the district assembly.
Starting with the district assembly, Bosoncho district assembly, many DC na di honkomo watu nipa mama beshe. Nti on o say e kan plans on say on so be boama aduru abayanim.
Aside the number of development he's embarking in his community, he hoped to allocate large portion of land for the construction of these model houses to complement government efforts in closing the country's housing deficit gap.
Well, away from Ghana, Saturday's Ivorian presidential election held at the Ivorian Embassy in Accra and Kumasi recorded a remarkably low turnout. Stanley D. Blair reports that only 11.5% of registered voters turned out to vote.
Of 1,432 registered voters were expected to cast their ballots, but agents of the various presidential candidates were left disappointed, as all 4 polling stations in Accra and 1 additional center in Kumasi recorded poor participation. Out of the total registered voters, only 164 turned up to vote across the 5 polling centers in Ghana. Polling agents attributed the low turnout to the absence of many registered voters, most of whom are tertiary students, believed to have returned to Côte d'Ivoire for vacation. Before sorting and counting began, the returning officers cross-checked the number of ballots against the verified voters list. It was discovered that the number of ballots cast exceeded the number of verified voters, delaying the collation process. After deliberations, candidate agents and election officials agreed to exclude 4 disputed ballot papers from the count to ensure fairness.
1, 2, 3, 4. Et Yves Simon épouse Babo. 4.
When results from all 5 polling stations were eventually tallied, incumbent President Alassane Ouattara secured 88 votes, representing 56.66% of valid votes cast. Bully Blanc followed with 41 votes, representing 25% of the total votes. Simeon Ehive Gbagbo polled 15 votes, representing 9.15%. Dom Melo Jacob received 10 votes, representing 6.10%. Bilon Jean Eugene of the Code Party polled 8 votes, representing 4.88%, and Lagu Ajua Henrit of the GPPI Party garnered 2 votes, representing 1.22%. The election in Ghana was supervised by the diplomatic representative of the Ivorian Electoral Commission, a subsidiary of Côte d'Ivoire's National Election Management Body. The outcome of the election in Ghana reflects a significant voter apathy among the Ivorian diaspora, raising concerns about civic participation and engagement outside the home country. The results have been electronically transmitted to Abidjan and will undergo manual verification as part of the final national tally. The winner must secure an absolute majority of votes. If no one reaches that threshold, the top 2 candidates will face each other in a second round. Official results are not expected until early next week. Stanley Nible, TV3 News, Ivorian Embassy, Accra.
Well, like we always do, we'll follow up on these very elections and bring you the outcome in a subsequent bulletin. So keep watching TV3. Now, many more women diagnosed with breast cancer continue to die due to late medical care. The Vice President of the Breast Society of Ghana, Dr. Na Adokwa-Ite, has expressed concern that majority of women fail to report changes in their breast due to fear of surgery and stigmatization. According to her, this has made it almost impossible to significantly reduce fatalities among breast cancer patients in the country.
According to health experts, 1 in every 12 women is likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer. Breast cancer is the most common cancer among women in Ghana, with a high proportion of cases diagnosed at an advanced stage. The Vice President of the Breast Society of Ghana, Dr. Na Adokwa-Ite, expressed concern about this trend and called for change.
In 2022, there were 5,000 cases of breast cancer, a little over that. And unfortunately, close to 2,000 women died from breast cancer in the same year as well. A lot more women are probably diagnosed with breast cancer who never make it to the statistics. Because we know that many more women don't even go to hospital. Worldwide, if you count every 12 women, 1 of them may develop breast cancer in their lifetime.
Dr. Na Adokwa-Ite said the lack of awareness has contributed to the increase in breast cancer cases, particularly among women.
Government can make a special fund for cancer patients and breast cancer patients in particular. It's a female disease, a lot of female science empowered economy.
The program manager of the Non-Communicable Disease Control Program at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Wallace Odike Olenu, advised women to take advantage of the inclusion of breast cancer screening under the National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS.
National Health Insurance covers breast cancer treatment, so I think people should be empowered to contact the health center or the hospital if they detect a lump, and it shouldn't be afraid.
Some breast cancer survivors urged all women to take any lump in the breast seriously and seek medical attention promptly.
Go in for breast cancer screening every time.
About 65% of men detected of prostate cancer report late to health facilities, making prostate cancer the second leading cause of cancer deaths among men in Ghana. Many men are diagnosed late, which limits treatment options and leads to poor survival outcomes.
Incidence of prostate cancer is increasing in sub-Saharan Africa. It is among the most commonly diagnosed cancers amongst men in the sub-region. In Ghana, late reporting to health facilities has been identified as a major factor contributing to the high numbers of prostate cancer patients. In Kumasi, for instance, prostate cancer is the most frequently diagnosed cancer among men. Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of prostate cancer awareness organized by the National Pensioners Association in Tamale, Medical Director of the Bosumtwe Urology Hospital in Sunyani, Dr. Bosumtwe Boatin, urged men above the age of 50 years to screen regularly.
Currently, because we detect them late, about 65% of the patients that we detect with prostate cancer present late. That is that narrative that we want to change. So, going forward, every male above the age of 50 years should offer himself for what we call screening, testing. You see a urologist, your prostate blood test is done, and the prostate is examined. Anybody with a relative, a father or brother with prostate cancer who is above 40 years should also be screened.
On the misconceptions surrounding prostate cancer, Dr. Bosumtwe has this to say.
Blood test is not a risk factor for prostate cancer. I want to surprise you that, in fact, research supports frequent ejaculation as a way of reducing the prostate cancer risk. Here, let me sound a word of caution, because if you don't add that, then people say, oh, the urologists even said that frequently, so the people are moving around and indiscriminately having unprotected sex, where they are going to die earlier from other sicknesses from prostate cancer. So,
National Secretary of the National Pensioners Association, Stephen Boache, wants more education on prostate cancer.
We have advised them that they must go according to the rules or the advice, what you have to take, what you are not supposed to take. Sickness will come, but it depends on you who is affected. The way and manner they advise, the doctor will tell you, do this and you don't do it. Then you'll be okay. I know some people who are about 150, they don't have this prostate cancer. And they are working all right. But some people who are 40 years have been affected. So your lifestyle counts.
Still on health, stroke, once considered a disease of the elderly in developed nations, is now striking down Ghanaians at an alarming rate, increasingly targeting the young and productive segment of the population. Statistics from the Ghana Health Services reveal that the disease is a leading cause of death and adult disability in the country. This is said to threaten families and put a strain on the national healthcare system. But what exactly has health authorities observed to be the cause for the growing numbers? Ibrahim Abubakar joins us for more on this at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, Asokwa Municipality, where they are intensifying campaign on this preventive, disease. Ibrahim, what factors are contributing to the rising incidence of stroke among people?
Well, George, so health experts are pointing to rising hypertension, diabetes, poor diet, physical inactivity, and also increasing stress level as their primary driver. So when you go to Komfo-Anokye, for instance, per the records, there has been a significant increase in stroke within the past 5 years. And even nationally from 2020 to date, you realize that the mortality rate has moved from 15,000 plus to currently almost 20,000 every year. That's the number of people who are dying from this preventable disease. And for them, the interesting part is that the health officials are saying up to 90% of strokes are preventable. And for that matter, they do not see why such disease should be claiming more lives instead of going the preventable way. So as part of activities to mark the World Stroke Day, which will be somewhere on Wednesday, the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, that's the neurological department, and also the Asokwa Municipal Health Directorate, and also the Assembly have decided that they will intensify education on preventive ways and also do screening for people who ordinarily do not have time to go to health facilities for checkup. So they are targeting markets, butchers and other places so that they bring healthcare services closer to their doorstep. For people who have hypertension and they are not aware, they will easily be picked up and show the way to go. So these are the things they are doing to make sure that they also contribute in reducing the number of stroke cases we are recording annually. Let's listen to what the health officials and also the assembly has been saying.
Stroke is currently the second leading cause of death and is the third leading cause of mortality globally, which is very alarming. And even more alarming is the fact that previously it used to be a disease in high-income countries, but now because of the epidemiologic transition, it's now very common in our setting, that's in Africa, in Ghana. And even at Konfuanoche, when it comes to the medical ward, it's the leading cause of mortality, it's the leading cause of admission. So as a team, we've started to put in place strategies to help to control and to reduce the prevalence and incidence of stroke.
As Assembly, it's one of our KPIs to make sure that healthcare gets to everybody within the municipal. So there's a great opportunity for everyone within the enclave of Mayanka to visit this health screening for free.
And Ibrahim, before you take leave of us, I want to know, the people that you engaged, the people that came for the screening, what really is preventing them from going for checkup? Is it that they are busy? Is it that they don't have the funds to access these hospitals?
Okay, so George, I think you've mentioned two critical issues. One has to do with their time. They do not have time to even go to the hospital for checkup. You know how most people behave in these countries. Before you see someone in the hospital, it means the person is not feeling well. So the regular checkup is something that majority of people are not doing. That's how come they are bringing it to their doorstep. And also, issues of funds is also a challenge. People say when they go to hospital, you spend not less than 500,000 cedis only for checkup. So they are considering both, but the advice to them by these health officials is that it's better for you to know your even status, especially when it comes to hypertension and diabetes now, so that you go the preventive way than to wait for you to have stroke. That one, it will cost you more money, it will cost you more time, it will cost you more resources. So that is the education that they are giving to these people.
Ibrahim Abubakar is Ashanti Regional Correspondent. The issue about stroke is a very serious one, and so if you have the time, just go for constant checkups at the various clinics. And if you just tuned in, you're watching Weekend Central, the last Sunday edition in the month of October. In more news this afternoon, Ghana is grappling with a major setback in its healthcare financing following the withdrawal of $78 million US aid health support. The country now faces millions of dollars funding gap for its 2025 health needs. The Ghana AIDS Commission says government's pledge of $8.4 million remains unreleased, hindering efforts to sustain the national fight against HIV and AIDS.
Data from 2024 reveals that 334,721 people, including women and children, are currently living with HIV in Ghana. The figures are largely attributed to higher testing rates among women compared to men. In the same period, over 15,000 new infections were recorded, alongside 12,614 AIDS-related deaths. Speaking at the 14th National HIV and AIDS Partnership Forum, Director of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation at the Ghana AIDS Commission, Isaiah Dokwao, highlighted the rising prevalence of HIV in Ghana. He attributed the trend to risky sexual behavior and low condom use.
Ghanaians must live a risk-free life. You see, ABC is still very important. You either abstain if you can. If you cannot be faithful to your partner, you choose one girlfriend or one wife. And if two is not working for you, you use condom consistently and correctly in order to have sex.
Acting Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Dr. Prosper Akambo, said the financing gap is severely affecting their ability to raise awareness.
It must be noted that domestic seed funding for the National HIV/AIDS Fund remains outstanding, and we continue to face significant financing gaps, which must be addressed through strengthened partnership, innovative financing, and improved efficiency.
Representing the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, Deputy Chief of Staff, Nana Oyebampo Ado, assured stakeholders.
At the policy level, the government is redirecting resources, deepening partnership with the private sector, and introducing structural fiscal reforms that includes widening the tax base. External aid is no longer a reliable strategy. We all agree. If we are to end AIDS by 2030, we must prioritize prevention. We must repurpose our budgets.
Despite the challenges, the Ghana AIDS Commission remains hopeful that the country will meet its targets to eliminate the threats of HIV/AIDS.
Away from health, the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Ghana National Fire Service, and Ambulance Service have intensified efforts to curb the rising speed of domestic and market fires within the Accra municipality in the Greater Accra region. Officers from the municipal NADMO office engage residents and traders on basic fire safety practices to help prevent avoidable losses, especially ahead of the dry season.
The Greater Accra region recorded the highest fire incident in the first half of 2025, with 628 fire outbreaks as against 708 incidents same period in 2024. However, domestic fires surged to 36.7% from 35.8% last year. National Disaster Management Organization officials, together with allied institutions in a bid to reduce incidents of disasters, visited homes, shops and market stalls across Nungwa and its adjoining communities. The sensitization drive is part of a broader national strategy aimed at reducing the rising incidence of fire outbreaks that have destroyed properties and livelihoods in recent years. They educated residents on the safe handling of electrical gadgets, proper storage of LPG cylinders, and emergency response procedures. Daniel Nikwe is the Krowa Municipal NADMO Director.
A lot of them have been doing a whole lot, which they even don't know they are causing disasters to themselves. Some pouring in rubbish into the drains and stuff. When it rains, it gets to the houses get flooding. So we think they are not aware. We take it, they are not aware. So I think we are educating them much.
Residents were also taken through cardiopulmonary resuscitation (CPR) exercise to save lives.
What you saw was a simple procedure, what we call CPR. It's simple, but it saves lives in so many ways. And having that knowledge can easily save life of a relative in case of an emergency, when it comes to accidents, home emergencies, and other stuff. And it's basically taking care of how the heart pumps or how the heart aids in us breathing.
As the Harmattan season approaches, NADMO says it will continue similar campaigns across communities to promote vigilance and ensure safer homes and marketplaces in the Krowa municipality.
In many workplaces today, a quiet revolution is unfolding, one that's redefining what it means to work, live and find purpose. The older generation saw a job as a lifelong commitment, but for today's youth, it's just one part of a bigger picture. Elsie Edu has more in this report.
For a long time, work was seen as a lifelong commitment, a measure of stability and pride. But today's young employees see it differently. To them, work isn't life, it's only a part of it.
As a young professional in the corporate space that I find myself in, I've come to notice that I am not willing to do this for the entirety of my life. I'm only seeing this as a means to an end, where at the end of it, I'm my own boss and I am controlling things. I'm leaving some form of impact.
Gen Z now have realized that you can go through the creative means, you can go through whatever means. It doesn't have to be always going to work, waking up 7 a.m., 6 a.m. to go to work. They've realized that you can actually make something out of yourself. You can make a meaningful life out of yourself. I feel like my generation have realized this, and the older generation are still in that world where they feel like you need to work for people, you need to do this 9 to 5 stuff. But Gen Z have realized that there's actually a diverse way, or there are different ways to go about becoming good or becoming successful in life.
For many older workers, a job isn't just about what they do, It's who they are. They grew up believing that working hard and staying loyal to one company is how you build a life. In Ghana, older workers typically remain with one employer for 5 years or more, reflecting a preference for stability and job security. In contrast, younger employees, especially those under 30, tend to stay for only 1 to 5 years before moving on. Human resource expert Stephen Agbai said this shift is no accident.
People come in at different ages into the organization. There are baby boomers, there are Gen Zs, we have Gen Ys and all the other ones. Now, you can't expect all of them acting in the same way. And so the baby boomers usually would expect them to be slow in their demands because these are people who have through experience learned to go slowly and achieve things methodically. The Gen Zs are running at a speed. The world is not waiting for them. They are responding quickly to changing needs.
According to career coach and lecturer at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, Dr. Lindana, Gen Zs are entering the workforce during a time of rapid technological change and economic uncertainty.
Gen Zs are a very interesting, special and unique group of people. They are very independent because they were born in the computer age. And so they are used to finding things out for themselves. And so based on this, when it comes to career, they are more interested in finding purpose compared to finding job stability, which is what the older generation focus more on. But I believe very soon, and with Gen Zs leading the way, technology will become a partner and not just a tool.
But this new attitude has come without friction. Some employers describe the young working force as impatient or easily distracted. While older workers grew up believing hard work meant long hours and consistency, Gen Z is pushing a different definition of success, one that blends passion, technology, and personal values.
Nowadays, I can see most of the youth, they don't want to work, they want quick money. So they don't want to suffer before they get money.
I was born in the 70s. We use humility to work. I work for someone and the person pays me. But the youth now, because they like quick money, they don't want to work under someone in humility.
They don't want to be under anybody to worship the person. But the olden days, we do that.
Yet behind the debates about discipline and loyalty lies a deeper story. A generation trying to survive in a world where salaries rarely match the cost of living.
It's not that we do not want to work hard. It's that we've realized that life is not all about working. And with the current rising cost of living, a 9 to 5 does not cut us in anymore.
As Ghana's workforce continue to evolve, the gap between generations isn't just about age, it's about values. And in the middle of that divide lies the future of the modern workplace, one negotiating between tradition and transformation. For older workers, work was survival. For Gen Zs, work must have meaning.
Well, right after this, I will just seek the views of production assistant Jackson on this very issue. But that takes us to our very first break. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. You're still watching Weekend Central here on TV3, and we are coming to you live from the news hub here at Adesa Wekanda. In more news this very afternoon, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jinopokwa-Jimban, says Ghana is steadily moving from exporting raw materials to producing finished goods that capture real value. And delivering a keynote address at the Norman Bolang International Dialogue at Iowa in the United States of America, the Vice President said Ghana has the potential to produce its own food rather than import it. She said government is implementing a 5-year agricultural risk management strategy focusing on crops like poultry, tomato and maize to enhance food security and promote sustainable agriculture. The Vice President added that government initiatives such as the Grow 24 program, which seeks to modernize agriculture and support agro-manufacturing, would not only help ensure food security but create jobs for the youth. The Vice President called for partnerships with investors, government, universities and development banks to support Ghana's agricultural transformation agenda.
That she should be able to grow nearly all the food she consumes. Life in the tropics implies a boom for agriculture. Our value chains hold tremendous potential, requiring deeper integration, modernization, partnerships, and collaborations. Ghana's strategic reforms in agriculture hinge on greater resilience, innovation, equity, governance across production systems, nutrition, and trade. The Feed Ghana program is His Excellency President John Mahama's flagship initiative to accelerate transformation in a coordinated, market-driven manner. Africa can feed herself, reduce dependency on imports, and empower millions of youth and women across the continent. Dr. Bullock reminded us that the fight against hunger is not a sprint, it is a relay. Each generation must take the baton, run its part, and hand it with conviction. Ghana is deeply committed to running her leg of this race. Let this generation be defined not by our deficits, but by our resolve.
Palm oil producers at Achimtafo in the eastern region are appealing for the completion of their processing facility to help preserve the legacy of former First Lady Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings. Yvonne Nikwe visited the area to learn how they are sustaining the legacy of empowerment started decades ago.
Lady has passed on, but her legacy still stays on. Here at Achimtafo in the eastern region, her movement, the 31st December movement, caught on with women. Because of that, they empower themselves in production of palm oil. She may not have built the facility here, but the place was named after her. Due to her advocacy, the 31st group here at Tafo joined us to ensure that they had skills to work with. Because of that love, we named our facility after her. Their group, a merger of the Greek Workers' Wife Association and the 31st December Women's Movement, has provided a space for women to gain economic independence across the value chain. Their old facility was destroyed by fire over a year ago, leaving many unable to return to work. Only a few remain, struggling to keep operations going. Before the fire, they produced about 50 gallons of palm oil daily. Now, they can only manage to produce 5 gallons. The women say outdated machines limit their productivity, forcing them to rely heavily on manual labor. Smoke and poor weather conditions make their work even more difficult. They need support to rebuild their facility and acquire modern equipment to revive their production and livelihoods.
Palm oil business is lucrative, but we do not receive same support as those in the cocoa sector. If only government will do so. We need machines, financial support, a lot more, including fixing of the roofing of the new building, for us to get back to work. They need support to rebuild their facility and acquire modern equipment to revive their operations and keep the legacy of the former First Lady Anakunedu Ajiman rolling.
Women empowerment needs to be felt around everywhere. They test out their own flutes, they carry their own flutes, they cook it by themselves. A lot of them are inhaling what? Severe toxic. So we need equipment that are approved in this sector for the women to work with.
You're still watching Weekend Central here on TV3. We're back after this break. Stay with us. Well, that's all time will allow us for today. That's the last Sunday of the month of October, and that is a Weekend Central. For more news updates, just log on to our website, sfreenews.com. Alternatively, you can join my colleagues, Aisha Yakubu and Martin Esiedudate tonight on News 360. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Good afternoon.
Innovation every day. 2012 elections with integrity. 2015 home of Ghana's biggest shows. 2020 in the pandemic we stood with you. 2021 we helped you resume your regular programming. 2022 we raised the bar even higher. 2023 more shows, more fun. 2024 we showed Ghana what world-class elections coverage looks like. 2025 still #1 for news, sports and entertainment. Truly, first in news, best in entertainment for 28 years.
Ghana's agri sector sits at the heart of the economy, yet continues to face familiar challenges like a decreasing yet high food inflation, import dependency, post-harvest losses, and climate shocks. Now, take poultry, for instance. Ghana still imports over 80% of national demand, and we can say same for rice, grains, and pulses. As of last week, we've had to confront an even harsher reality: dangerous chemicals in our food. In this edition of Hot Issues, we examine government efforts to make our food